Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barcelona News. It is October 9th, 2023, and I have all the injury updates in regards to Kunde, Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, Robert Lewandowski, and Pedri for you. Also, it's reported that the club are tired of all the unfair refereeing and TV coverage that Barcelona have been a victim of this season so far, and they're considering action. And finally, we are going to talk about the possible loan of Lionel Messi from Inter Miami to FC Barcelona. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and welcome to the official Barca News live streams, which are on every Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, we'll do a segment of news followed by a discussion, going to the chat section and get a discussion going and answering any kind of questions that you guys might have. If you want to skip the discussion once the live stream ends, I will leave timestamps in the description or chapters in the timeline so you can forward ahead to every segment of news. Now, as always, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow, especially when you like the video. It prompts YouTube to recommend the video to other people who've never seen the channel, bringing more audience and more subscribers to the channel. So I would really greatly appreciate it if you can hit that like button. It only takes a second and it's completely free. And also, if you are looking to place any sports bets, not just on Barcelona matches, on any matches or on any sporting events around the world, they're currently having a special deal for new signups. So make sure you hit to Bet Us, where they're giving you, I think it's $125 or $150 for free for you to bet. And also, if you are looking to place any, if you're looking to buy any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you hit the kickback. The links for both kickback and Bet Us are in the description. Now let's begin with the news, because I do have for you lots of injury updates. A lot of people have been asking me what's going on with Barcelona's injuries. So let's begin first with Jules Koundé, who yesterday he was substituted during, I think it was the second half or the first half, and he suffered an injury after Gavi fell on his knee inside of Barcelona's penalty box. And even though initially Xavi Hernandez had reported right after the match that Koundé was fine, that he had only suffered a blow, after undergoing medical exams, it's been discovered that Jules Koundé has suffered a left MCL injury. So that's a left knee injury. And Barcelona have not set an exact timeline for his recovery. They've said that his recovery would dictate when he will come back. But some reports are being optimistic and saying that Jules Koundé will be out for as long as 3 weeks, which means that he could be back for El Clásico match that is set to be played on October 28th in the Olympic Stadium in Montjuic. Now, Tony Juan Martí has reported that actually it's going to be longer, that it's going to be 5 weeks, which if that's the case, that means Koundé will miss the Clásico match. But for now, optimistic reports are saying that he will be back in 3 weeks. Now, the next injury update is Lamine Yamal, who was substituted after making history in yesterday's match against Granada, where he became the youngest player in the history of La Liga to score a goal. And it looks like he requested to be substituted because he was having some abdominal discomfort. And as a result, it's reported that Lamine Yamal will be out for 10 days due to injury, which is not a big deal because we do have the international break that's going on right now. So it means that Lamine Yamal will be back in time for once Barcelona resume La Liga season. And even though it was initially thought that Lamine Yamal is not going to be traveling to join the Spanish team in this Euro qualifiers, it seems that the youngster has been required by the Royal Spanish Football Federation to travel to Madrid to join the Spanish team, where he's going to undergo medical exams by the Royal Spanish Football Federation's doctors, which honestly, I don't understand. He already went medical exams in Barcelona. It's already been reported by doctors that he's suffering from abdominal discomfort and that he will be out for 10 days. I don't see why he needs to travel to Madrid, join the Spanish team, undergo more medical exams by different doctors when you already have the Barcelona doctors telling you that he is injured. Now, the final injury update is, and this is good news because it's being reported that the trio of Robert Lewandowski, Rafinha, and Pedri are all going to be back by El Clásico match that is set to be played on October 28th. And of course, this will be a huge boost for Barcelona because we're talking about three key players for Xavi Hernandez. In my opinion, two very important ones in Pedri and Lewandowski. So this is definitely very good news for the club. Now, having said all of that, let's head to the chat section and let's see what you guys are saying. And let's see if I can answer any questions or get a discussion going. Brad says, hello, let's not spend too much time on referees today. Their incompetence and poor interpretation of vague rules is depressing. We just need Barca to play at a level where refs don't matter. I 100% agree with you. I've said this before in post-match live analysis or even in regular videos where I've said, you know, that referees are definitely very incompetent in Spain. It's very evident. But also Barcelona need to put themselves in a place where we don't count on these referees. You know, if you're generating chances, if you're scoring goals, the referees' decisions become less and less relevant. But nonetheless, we do have to talk about Barcelona getting tired of what's going on and what actions are they considering doing, which is coming up in the live stream. So stay tuned. Now, Luis says our injured players are the foundation to our Champions League success. I hope they come back and we win the Champions League. Now, so far, if we go by the optimistic report of Jules Koundé, that means he'll be back before the Champions League match is set to be played in November against Shakhtar Donetsk. Then we have Lewandowski, Rafinha, Pedri, all set to be back before that. We also have Lamine Yamal, who's only going to be out for 10 days. So that means that by the next Champions League match, we should only have Frankie de Jong out. And there's even talks about even Frankie being able to come back. So even if Frankie doesn't come back, we'll have most of our team back by then. So I think we are good for a Champions League match. But of course, there is worry about El Clásico match. But Madrid will be missing three of their starting defenders. So we're not completely disadvantaged. Looks like Madrid could be also suffering from some injury woes. Let's do one more comment, and then we'll do a couple of more bits of news that I want to bunch up together. And David says, no one throws stones at trees with green fruit. Barca should take the criticism with pride. You know what? I've never heard that expression. I really, really like it. So thank you, David, for your comment. That's a really cool expression. All right, let's get back to the news because we have to talk about the current financial situation. I reported about in a previous video that Barcelona were considering playing a friendly match towards the end of this year, maybe in November, most likely in December, because there's a couple of weeks in December where Barcelona are not going to have any matches where the club could play a friendly match. And this will be in order to generate more revenues because Barcelona need to generate revenues, especially for the registration of the contract of Vitor Roque, who Barcelona are working very hard to bring during a winter transfer market. And so far, it's proven very difficult, especially with the German fund Libero not paying the money that they owe Barcelona for the sale of Barca Studios. And of course, there was the reduction of the wage cap by La Liga that was reduced from 400 million euros all the way to 270 million euros. So Barcelona are considering playing a friendly match in order to generate more revenues. And now we have a little bit more news about this. And it seems that Barcelona are considering playing this match either in the United States of America or in Mexico, because these are two very growing markets for Barcelona, where the club have had a lot of success. You know, Barcelona have played 2 preseasons in a row in the USA. And this summer, the women's team traveled to Mexico, where they were received with a lot of warmth and embrace. So Barcelona are considering either the US or Mexico for that friendly match towards the end of the year. Now, this is not confirmed. Barcelona are still talking this out with Xavi Hernandez, because he's the coach, with Deco, who is responsible for the entire sporting arena, or the football arena, if you may. And of course, the club will discuss this with the players, because after all, we need to protect our players from fatigue. So all this will be discussed with everyone, and unless everyone's on board, it's not going to happen. So don't worry, this is not the club trying to force players to play more matches. This will be discussed amongst all parties, and if everyone agrees to, then Barcelona could play a friendly match towards the end of this year in order to generate more funds. Now, speaking about the end of the year, of course, we have that winter transfer market that starts in January of 2024. And we have talked about in previous videos about Barcelona's possibility of signing a pivot, because right now our only pivot is Oriol Romeo. He doesn't have any substitutes or any natural substitute for that position. So Barcelona were considering bringing a short-term replacement that can rotate with Oriol Romeo, can give him some rest. And now that option has been completely ruled out because, again, Barcelona's hands are very much tied after La Liga reduced their wage cap, and Barcelona's number one priority is to bring Vitor Roque during the winter transfer market and register his contract. And doing that has already proven difficult, so having to do that plus sign another player is going to be nearly impossible. So Barcelona have ruled out signing any short-term pivots, and they have even ruled out the possibility of signing anyone, so there won't be any reinforcements in the winter transfer market, for the exception of Vitor Roque, who Barcelona are working hard to bring during January. Now, let's get back to the chat section again. This was just two short bits of news that I wanted to lump together, and then we will talk about Barcelona getting tired of what's going on with the referees, and not just referees, but also with the coverage, TV coverage in Spain and even around the world as well. Kev C says, can you draw some contrast between Lewandowski and Luis Suarez? They're both sharks, but it seems Lewy's having a harder time. If you could have one or the other in their prime, who would you pick? So Lewandowski and Suarez are two different center forwards. Lewandowski is more of a box predator, your traditional center forward, someone who stays in the box, waits for a pass or a cross, and then pushes it in. Luis Suarez is more of a positional center forward, if you may, someone who can more perhaps drive the ball, not necessarily go past 2-3 defenders, maybe one defender and score. Vitor Roque is more of a Luis Suarez than he is Lewandowski. So that's kind of like the difference between them. If I had to choose someone in their prime, I think I would say Lewandowski, just because Lewandowski has won a lot more and has scored a lot more than Luis Suarez. The reason it's not working out for Lewandowski right now in Barcelona is not his fault. The team simply cannot get the ball to him. We all see what happens when the team can get the ball to him. I mean, it's almost a guaranteed goal. We saw it all his years in Bayern Munich. We saw it in his years in Dortmund. And we've seen it at Barcelona whenever the team can get him the ball. But unfortunately, there's a disconnect between the team and Lewandowski. And that's the problem. But I think if I have to choose one, it would probably Lewandowski. But only by a tiny hair, because I love Suarez. I love everything he did for us. They're two excellent center forwards, some of the best center forwards of our generation. But I think I would pick Lewandowski just because he has accomplished a little bit more. But again, very, very close. I'm not saying, oh, for sure Lewandowski, he's 10 times better than Suarez. That's not it. People always like to put words in my mouth. So just by a tiny, tiny bit. But I would have any of them. All right, let's see. Kev C says, we need quality depth. We're suffering like mad without our starting players. And we need players making runs in the box. We're too predictable. Agreed. As far as the depth with quality players, unfortunately, the club's hands are tied with the financial situation of Barcelona, with the lowering of the salary cap, with the financial fair play rule restrictions. You know, there's so much we could do. So unfortunately, we're tied. Our hands are tied as far as that. But we do definitely need to make more runs. And we need to circulate the ball a lot better. This is something that I constantly say. I feel like I'm a broken record, but that's the reality, and that's why we're not playing well. One more, and then we'll get back to the news. And Carlos says, do you think the fitness coaching is the reason why players are getting injured so much? I know a lot of games has something to do with it too. I don't think it's a fitness problem. You know, when Xavi arrived, he completely replaced the entire fitness staff, from the physiotherapist to the dietitians. Everybody got replaced, from the trainers, and because there was a problem with Barcelona, they were constantly having muscle problems. But no, I don't think that's the case, because if you look at our injured list, Lewandowski was injured because of a tackle. That has nothing to do with the physios or the therapist. Kunde was injured because Gabi fell on his knee. Again, nothing to do with fitness coaches. Frankie de Jong, he was injured also because he was tackled. Again, nothing to do with fitness coaching. We have Rafinha. He was injured. He does have a muscular injury, and so does Pedri. So we only have technically 2 players who are injured due to muscle. 2 out of 23. That's not really, an indication of some problem. Now, there is Lamine Yamal. His problem is abdominal. Again, nothing to do with fitness or anything. So we're talking about, 6 injured players. 4 of them are due to other concerns, not muscular. So only 2 players are injured due to muscle problems. That's not really an indication of a problem with the fitness. If all 6 of them were having like muscular problems, muscle problems, I would tell you, yes, there has to be a problem. But that's not the case. All right, let's get back to the news because we do have to talk about Barcelona. And they are reportedly starting to get tired of the unfair refereeing and the unfair TV broadcasting that they've been suffering from this whole season. Now, Barcelona have suffered some terrible refereeing calls this season so far. We saw, a clear penalty kick that wasn't called in favor of Barcelona against Getafe. There was also a really bad call against Granada. You can argue that yesterday's call against, there was a bad call against, I can't remember what other team. I think it was Osasuna. Anyways, you can argue that yesterday's call against Granada was also bad. I can understand the referee's interpretation, but when I did see the review of the play, the ball is pretty high up in the air. It's maybe like 2-3 meters above Ferran Torres' head. I don't know how the referee interpreted that Ferran Torres could influence anything in that play. In that, by that standard, any player on the field could influence any ball, right? Because if the balls fly over players all the time, and if just the fact that a ball is flying over you means you're going to influence the play, that means almost every goal would be offsides, whether it's corner kick or a free kick. So rewatching it, I'm starting to think that it was a bad call. Again, not to justify Barcelona's bad performance yesterday, but I really thought it was a bad call. But anyways, Barcelona have suffered a lot of bad refereeing calls this season. In 3 different matches where Barcelona had the call went their way, they could have won that match, and now they will be at the top of the table. But thanks to the refereeing, we're currently sitting 3rd, 3 points behind Real Madrid. Also, when it comes to refereeing, Barcelona, and I've noticed it too, that when the other team commits a foul on the other team, there's an offside, it's a quick review. Sometimes it's not even reviewed at all. But when Barcelona score a goal or when Barcelona have an offside, that call is reviewed over and over again. We saw that in yesterday's match against Granada, where Sergio Roberto's goal was looked at from every possible angle to make sure it was correct. But when other teams, score a goal, there's no review or barely any review. And that unfairness is not just limited to referees, it's also limited to TV coverage, where if Xavi Hernandez complains about refereeing, cameras immediately start filming him complaining. But if the other coach is yelling, is complaining, is running up and down the field like a maniac, there's no camera that's panned on him. Also, when the same thing as referees with the TV coverage, if Barcelona commit a foul or Barcelona score a goal, we see replays from every single angle over and over again, slow motion, fast motion, you name it. But when it comes to other teams, most of the time the TVs don't even cover the replays, or if they do cover the replays, it's like an instant 2 seconds. Here you go. Okay, we're done. And Barcelona have noticed that. I've noticed the unfair bias with the refereeing, with the TV coverage, and the club are starting to get very, very sick and tired of it, because there's undoubtedly a clear campaign against Barcelona, where everything Barcelona do are looked at and double, triple, quadruple checked, but other teams get away with everything. And Barcelona are now considering boycotting interviews during the halftime, maybe even interviews after the match is over, as a form of protest because of all the unfair treatment that they've been receiving, not just from referees, but again, from TV coverage. Now, speaking of unfair TV coverage, I think it was today, the reporter Pedro Moya released an article accusing Barcelona of doping during last season. But yet there's absolutely no repercussions for that. It's absolutely disgusting. We've all seen the constant barrage of attacks on Barcelona for the Negreira case. And in fact, in yesterday's match against Granada, the whole stadium was chanting Negreira, Negreira, and chanting even songs before the match and during the match, insulting Barcelona, insulting Catalonia. And it's getting out of hand. And Barcelona are getting sick and tired of it because nobody's doing anything about it. You know, we saw when Vinicius Jr. was insulted by some fans, some racial slurs, La Liga were immediately jumped on it, which they were condemning the actions. They fined the teams. There was a whole campaign. But yet when Barcelona receive abuse after abuse in every stadium that they visit, there's absolutely no actions. No one says anything. No one does anything. And the club are getting sick and tired of it. And now they're considering taking actions, which I'm really glad that Barcelona are doing. Now, let's get back to the chat section, and then we'll talk about Mateu Alemany and the new club that he will be joining. Let's see. Where did we leave off? Brad says, Libero isn't paying. What happened to the Mexican investment fund where Laporta was exclaiming Viva Mexico? So with the Mexican investment fund, Barcelona were initially negotiating with Libero. And then they were kind of like unsure. They weren't like committing to it. So that's when the Mexican fund stepped in and said, okay, we'll buy it. Let's make a deal. Barcelona was like, all right, great, let's do it. And that's when Libero heard about this and they came back and made a higher offer when they realized that the deal was going to escape out of their hands. So Barcelona ended up signing with Libero, which now they're not making payment. Barcelona are considering canceling the contract. So that's what happened with the Mexican investment fund. I don't know if they're still interested or not. The news is that Barcelona do have several suitors who are interested in buying Libero's portion, but I don't know if whether the Mexican fund is one of them because the names of the interested parties have not been released. And Brad says, can someone explain to me how we have record profits and then have our wage bill cut so drastically at the same time? Profits don't affect available wages. What the hell? I have no idea. If anyone can explain it to me, I'm all ears too, because I don't understand either. And Klaus, my man Klaus, what's up? Says Florian Wirtz would be greatly appreciated right now. Yes, he would, but unfortunately, it's not going to happen. You know, he's been Bayer Leverkusen want around 100+ million euros for him, and you know, Barcelona are in no position to pay that money. And even if they were, the days of spending, you know, all that money on players are over. We've all seen what it does, what it did to us with our financial situation. And Akeem says Vitor Roque signing is supposed to be a priority because we need to the beast to always support the Lewa at crucial moment. Yes, correct. I've said that before. Barcelona have made Vitor Roque's arrival their number one priority, and that's another reason why the signing of a pivot in the winter transfer market has been completely ruled out. All right, let's get back to the news because we gotta talk about Mateu Alemany, who will be signing for Atletico de Madrid. Now, Mateu Alemany did an amazing job at Barcelona, working with the very limited finances that the club had and with the very limited financial fair play wiggle that Barcelona had. And he, with his amazing work, he gained the confidence of Joan Laporta, his board of directors, and the entire club. But unfortunately, towards the end of last season, he did announce that he was going to be leaving. He didn't say where, but it was rumored that he was going to go to Aston Villa. And then eventually he decided that, no, I want to come back. I want to stay. And that whole, I want to leave, no, I want to stay, it's kind of caused some kind of friction with the club, where Barcelona started to look for a new sporting director when Mateu Alemany announced his departure. And when he came back, Barcelona were already in search for a new sporting director. So they continued the search. And of course, they ended up hiring Deco as the new Barcelona sporting director. And therefore, Barcelona ended up telling Mateu Alemany that he could stay at the club, but it would not be as a sporting director. It would be in a different position. But of course, Alemany was not in favor of that. So he decided to leave Barcelona altogether. And once the summer transfer market closed, he left, making him a free agent, if you want to call it that. Now, I reported in a previous video that Mateu Alemany was in negotiations with Gil Marín, who's the CEO of Atletico de Madrid, to sign for the Madrid-based club. And now it seems that those negotiations did go well for Atletico Madrid. And Mateu Alemany will be signing for the Madrid-based club. The negotiations are pending, just finalizing small details of the contract, which are expected to be finalized. And once that happens, Mateu Alemany will be the new sporting director of Atletico de Madrid, where he's going to be completely in charge of their squad. He's going to make all the decisions as far as who the club sign and who they offload. And he will be in charge of all the negotiations of signing players, similar or very similar to what he was doing in Barcelona. But then there is the added bonus that he will be Gilmarin's right-hand man. He has a very good relationship with Gilmarin, who's again, the CEO of Atletico Madrid. They're friends. They've been friends for a very long time. They know each other really well. So he will be the right-hand man of Gilmarin. So he will help him with more of running the club, of kind of like be the representative of the club with other entities like La Liga or the Royal Spanish Football Federation. So it looks like Alemany will be joining Atletico Madrid, which in my opinion is a sad day because, again, Alemany did wonders for Barcelona and did an amazing job at the club. And now he will be doing, the same amazing work for one of our rivals, which is sad, but, that's the nature of football. Now, before anyone gets ahead of themselves and starts talking about, maybe that's going to be beneficial since Barcelona do want to sign Joao Felix next summer. Maybe Alemany will help us out. Don't be optimistic about that. That's not the case. Alemany is a professional. His loyalty lies up to whatever club he's working for. So don't expect him to be doing us any favors. He's not really a Barcelona fan at heart or a culé at heart. He's an executive who fully commits to whatever club he's working for. He was fully committed to Barcelona when he was here, and I have no doubts that he'll kind of be fully committed to Atletico Madrid. So don't expect any favors out of him. He's going to look to serve the best interest of Atletico Madrid, who will be his future employer. All right, let's get back to the news. And then we'll talk about, not to the news, to the chat section. And then we will talk about Leo Messi and the possibility of him arriving on loan, which has been talked a lot in the media these recent few days. Carlos says, how can boycotting affect Barcelona? Also, did you see about a month ago that when Real Madrid bought the women's club, they did some fixing with the numbers, which it would have affected their salary cap? So I did mention that in a video. If you want to look it up, it is, a few weeks ago, but I reported about this, about Real Madrid when they started their feminine team, what they did with the salary cap. All the details are in that video. I don't want to rehash it. As far as boycotting, Barcelona is the biggest driver of viewership for La Liga. And that's just a fact. It might hurt Real Madrid fans to hear this, but Barcelona generate the highest viewership in La Liga. Same with Champions League. And if they start not doing these things like, interviews and things like that, that could affect and impact the viewership of La Liga, which in return could hurt the pockets. And I'm a strong believer that if you want change, you got to hurt the pocket of whoever is in charge of the change. So that's how it could help. Okay, and Lucia says, Mo, when Pedri Porter going to be available? I talked about that at the beginning of the stream. So if you want to check it out, you can watch it once it ends. And Ross says, are we looking into any CBs out there? Also, they were talking a bit of poo-poo. Sorry. I don't know why I read it that way. A bit of poo-poo about Ter Stegen on ESPN FC, like he was dropped in form a bit, and that's why we're getting scared on thoughts. You know what? Listening to ESPN FC is like asking a blind man for directions. I don't have anything against blind people, but ESPN FC, honestly, and I might get in trouble for that, but I don't care. The reason I started this channel so I can express my views. And the beauty about not working for like a media outlet or anything is that you can express your views, but ESPN FCs are a bunch of clowns. You hear it every match whenever they're commentating on Barcelona matches. I mean, their toxicity and their hate towards Barcelona is more than evident, and I wouldn't take anything they say seriously. Unfortunately, here we're living in the US. That's the only channel that broadcasts Barcelona matches, so we're stuck watching them, but they're a bunch of clowns. So no. And as far as CBs, no, we're not looking at any CBs. Yes, we do have Kunde, who will be out for 3 weeks. Araujo's, but we have, of course, Araujo and Christensen, who are both available. We have Iñigo Martinez, was also available. And if we need, we can call up on is it Coarsi? I don't know why I can't remember his name, from Barca Athletic. But no, we don't need CBs, Plus we have Shadi Riyad coming back next summer from loan. Okay, one more comment and then we will go back to the news and talk about Leo Messi and crispy chicken. What's up, crispy chicken? I had some crispy chicken last night and it was delicious. I love crispy chicken, especially if you put some honey on it. I know it sounds gross, but if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend. Put some honey on your crispy chicken. The combination of salt and sweet, delicious. Crispy Chicken says, whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? Ah, man, you're asking me because I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Spain's supposed to be a nation that believes in that, but now when it comes to Barcelona, apparently it's guilty until proven innocent. All right, and let's get back to the news because we do have to talk about Leo Messi and the possibility of him joining Barcelona on loan. Now, this news, media outlets began discussing the possibility of Messi joining Barcelona on loan a few days ago. I think it was last week, because there was the chance that Inter Miami were not going to be able to qualify for the playoffs. And if that happened, that means Messi would be out of play for several months. And of course, we do have the Copa America coming up in the summer of 2024. So the rumors were that Messi wanted to play anywhere in order to stay in shape for the Copa America, because he wanted to play with Argentina, kind of like a goodbye thing. And of course, media outlets started reporting that Messi, if Inter Miami are knocked out of the playoffs, he would join Barcelona on loan so he can continue playing and he can continue staying, being in shape. Now, the reason I didn't discuss that news because I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I didn't even think it would be worth it spending my breath on kind of news. It was kind of like when they told us that, Messi was going to join for Al Hilal and Al Hilal was going to loan him back to us. And then they said, no, he's going to join Inter Miami and Inter Miami is going to loan him back to us. And now they were saying the same thing. So I didn't even bother. But then, of course, what they were predicting happened, which was that Inter Miami did end up not making the playoffs, which means that Leo Messi is not going to play. I think it's 6 months, if I'm not mistaken. So he will be out of play time for 6 months. That's a very long time to be out, which means, so this only fueled the rumors more that he will come back to Barcelona on loan so he can stay in shape and be able to play in the Copa America. And then once you add to it the statements of the co-owner of the Inter Miami club that I mentioned in a previous video, which that he said he was going to do everything in his power for Leo Messi to have kind of that goodbye match with Barcelona. All this combined created the storm where everybody started talking about that Leo Messi is going to come to Barcelona on loan. Now, the reason, I didn't discuss it is because I thought it was ridiculous. And while I wasn't wrong, it's a very ridiculous bit of news. There's absolutely no truth to this. Barcelona have no intention of bringing Leo Messi back. Messi earns a lot of money, and Barcelona cannot afford that. Messi has no intention of coming back to Barcelona as a player. He's kind of the reason he went to Inter Miami, because he's done. He's completed football. He's won everything there is to win. And now he just wants to enjoy the game. He wants to have fun. And coming back to Barcelona is not going to be that. And both of these points of views have been confirmed by Barcelona. Barcelona have confirmed that no, they're not trying to bring Messi back on loan. And Messi's entourage have confirmed that no, he's not trying to go on loan to Barcelona. And of course, you add to all of this the fact that Inter Miami have also confirmed that no, they're not going to loan him back to Barcelona. And I mean, I don't even have to tell you this to realize how stupid this news is, because Inter Miami, Apple, Adidas, all these organizations did not just spend all this money to bring Leo Messi to the MLS just so they can loan him to Barcelona and he can get injured. And there goes their entire investment. Like, that's just ridiculous. Not to mention that when Messi got injured with Inter Miami, their sale ticket went down by half. And in fact, in the matches where he was playing and he was getting subbed out, when he would get subbed out, a lot of people in the stadium would leave. So right there, they were losing money by him being injured or not playing. So why would they loan him to Barcelona, lose more money when they made such a huge investment in bringing Messi to the MLS? I think it's absolutely silly to disingenuous, and honestly very unprofessional that media outlets would even report such a ridiculous story. It's like saying, "Oh, Barcelona are gonna sign Cristiano Ronaldo tomorrow." Like, let's be a little bit more professional about what kind of news we share. Let's stop with this, clickbaits, because this is absolutely unacceptable and unprofessional. Again, I didn't want to bother wasting my time discussing such a silly story, but unfortunately it gained so much traction, and I did have people asking me about it. So I decided, okay, fine, I'll talk about it and I'll tell you how silly of a story it is. But that is all the news for today, guys. We still have a few more minutes. Let's do a few more comments. Also, I got to let my dog in. I left him on the balcony because he loves to go on the balcony. And he's still out there. So I gotta go get him. But the weather is great, so don't worry. He's not suffering or anything. He's enjoying it. He's a little bit of a nosy dog. He just like sits out there and just watches the neighbors come in and out. But anyways, all right, let's do a few more comments and then we'll end this so I can go let my dog in before he thinks I abandoned him. Blaurana Kule says, Tata Martinez laughed off the possibilities of Messi coming to Barca in January during the post-match interview. Two with that, what you will. Exactly, yeah. I saw actually the interview when he was asked, he laughed because, again, it's such a stupid thing to suggest. But that's what happens when, in a day of clicks and social media and this whole like need to constantly pump out news just so you can get clicks and more ad revenue, is that sometimes there's nothing to report about. Sometimes I make really short videos, 7-minute videos, because there's nothing to report about. But obviously, some of these media outlets, they still need to make their money, so they have to make up something. And I'm not in that business. I just want to tell you what's going on. I don't want to have to. If I gotta make a 3-minute video, I'll make a 3-minute video. I'm not gonna make up crap just so I can do a 15-minute video. There's just not. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's ethical. But unfortunately, that's where we live. That's the day that we live in. David says, if Messi comes back, Leo's gonna score a bag of goals. Yeah, but unfortunately, he's not. But I agree. And Hakeem says, I really cannot figure out how Barcelona will be able to sign Messi into the club for now, especially now that we are in a financial mess. That's because they're not going to. There's no plans to do it. There's no possibility of doing it. It was just a silly thing that the media decided to spread, and unfortunately, it did catch traction, and a lot of people believed it. But anyways, guys, that is it for today. Thank you for joining the live stream. Crispy Chicken said he wanted me to show my dog, but like I said, he's in the balcony. He's in the first floor, so I would have to step away from the camera. I don't want to do that. But I promise you, next live stream, I'll feature him. A lot of people have asked me about him because sometimes they see him in the background walking around. But don't worry, I'll introduce you to my dog. His name is Marshall. He's a standard-sized golden doodle. He's 75 pounds. He's a big boy, but he's a very, very sweet dog. And I'll introduce you to him. I'm currently working on buying him a Barcelona jersey, kind of like a dog jersey. So maybe I'll get him the jersey first, and then I'll introduce you to him. But anyways, thank you guys for joining the live stream. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions. You guys are the best. You're freaking awesome. I appreciate every single one of you. I will see you in tomorrow's video. And as always, have a good night. Have a good morning wherever you are in the world. And Visca Barça.